All right, back live tonight here on In Focus. The National Union of Mine Workers has called for proper consultations regarding the implementation of the Just Transition as well as Eskom's unbundling. It says hasty moves could have negative implications for jobs. The comments come as the country battles a power shortage. Joining us now, NUM Energy Sector Coordinator Khangela Baloyi. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. The Just Transition movement, right, aims to reduce the impact of the move from fossil fuels on workers and communities as we are transitioning to the zero carbon economy. Would you say South Africa is emerging as a pioneer when you look at what the world is doing as far as this just transition is concerned?
Yeah, no, greetings to you and the viewers of Channel 405, and thanks for having me. Yeah, no, maybe let's start by saying the NUM is not a denialist when it comes to climate change and issues of global warming. Actually, we are amongst the first trade unions to accept the transition, but we said the transition must happen in a just and a fair way. You know, that's why we form part of different committees that actually discuss this issue. However, what is happening now is we are leaving workers and the communities behind while we are transitioning, and that is creating a lot of problems. You can see this when you go to Komati Power Station and Hendrina. Most of the businesses have closed down. Workers don't have jobs. People that were their livelihood depended on what was happening on the economic activities as that was brought by the power stations are now not having that livelihood.
So what are we failing to understand? What is it that can help the shift not have an impact on communities, but have a developmental impact on employers and communities alike?
No, firstly, we need to stop this process, put it on hold until such time we are all convinced that it's going to happen in a fair and just way. There are a lot of things that need to be put in place. You know, we need to create alternative jobs, you know, and quality jobs. You know, we need to also look at cleaning this coal. You know, because there's technologies nowadays like clean coal technologies. If you go to countries like China, they have those type of technologies. Instead of saying no, don't use coal at all, and then we use it in a more responsible way.
So, what are the credible facts, do you think, that have been used? Because I think in August 2022, we saw the adoption of the Just Transition framework. Are we rushing to adopt that framework without credible facts that need to be considered?
Yeah, no, I don't think, or as the NUM, we don't think necessary measures has been taken to make sure that communities and workers are not negatively affected. You know, yes, the framework it says there will be considerations for the impact on workers and the communities, but that is not happening in practice. You know, it's only a document that is theoretical, you know, and not implemented.
Yeah. How do you think the National Employment Vulnerability Assessment was conducted, and why would the framework have reached a conclusion, for example, that says that the capacity of vulnerable communities and workers can be, for example, mitigated by training them in new technologies?
Yeah, you see, but the problem is, what are those new technologies? You know, a good case study is what is happening in Komati. In Komati, you'll understand that they are replacing a coal power station with solar panels. You see, that power station was producing, we had 6 units that were producing around 600 megawatts each. This solar panel that they are putting there is only going to be producing 100 megawatts. It's not comparable. Besides the fact that a coal power station is labor intensive as compared to renewable energy.
So, for example, let's talk about what happened during the BRICS summit. I don't know whether it was signed during BRICS or maybe it was already a process that was ongoing. But one of the MOUs that was signed was around opening a hydrogen farm or hydro farm in one of those power stations that's going to be shut down. And they say, well, there's potential there where you could take those workers, train them with this new technology, and they can work on those farms. They can start other forms of businesses that certainly could be spin-offs coming from the work of that hydrogen farm.
No, exactly our point. We are saying we need technology that is labor intensive, but you will agree with me that is not happening. And actually, we're not even sure what's happening with the issue of green hydrogen. No, we are not even trying to implement that. There is issue of gas as well, to say that we can convert these power stations into gas power stations. But there's no move towards that, all is being done is to say, no, we will do renewables in the form of solar panels. Because you will look at the Mpumalanga area, you can't put wind farms in many areas because there's not enough wind to actually run the wind turbines.
Yeah. So if we are, as you put it, to delay and chart our own course towards a net zero emissions, I think the Minister of Electricity has also said that, to say maybe we should be setting our own pace as to how we will get there. And as you put it, it doesn't help shutting down coal-powered power stations if we need electricity in the country. So if we were to chart our own course to a net zero emission, how long do you think it would take the country?
You see, we need to put these issues of net zero and carbon emissions into perspective. South Africa as a country, although we are not denialists and we're saying we need to play a role there, but the truth must be told. South Africa as a country is emitting less than 1% of the global emissions, Even if we can close all our power stations, if other countries are doing nothing, our effort is going to be useless, Because if you look at statistics today, you will notice that the global emissions is not reducing, it's actually going up. Even Germany, that was actually pioneering the issue of the transition, has went back to open its coal power stations, because they realized that no, this thing did not think it properly. Actually, we have good examples of countries that we can learn from as the country. That's why we are saying, let's put this issue on hold. We're not saying remove it completely. Let's put it on hold until such time where we have a proper plan of what is going to happen to the livelihood of workers and the communities around the coal power stations.
So the other matter that you're saying must be put on hold is the unbundling process. Why?
Yeah, no, that process as well, one, you can restructure. The law of the country is clear, the LRA. You can restructure with that consultation. That's what we're saying. Put this thing on hold, consult trade unions, and then reach consensus. And if you don't reach consensus, the law allows you to implement, and trade unions will raise a dispute and then follow the legal process at the CCMA or maybe at the labor court. So, but those things are not happening. We are saying companies are allowed to restructure, you see. But before you do that, you need to consult with workers that are going to be affected by the restructuring, And it's not like we're saying things must remain the same. We are saying, let us be part of this so that we assist each other. But a simple question that you can ask is, why are we unbundling? What's wrong with the vertical integrated structure? It has worked for more than 100 years. You know, if we can be explained that, okay, if you unbundle, this is going to... Because in our minds as trade unions, what we see is we are seeing a situation whereby the company is separated into smaller pieces so that we can dispose some of these entities. It can be easier to sell. So we see this unbundling as a form or a precursor to privatization.
So you don't recognize the benefits, for example, that would have a thriving distribution part of Eskom, where we're doing well, in instances where, for example, generation is not doing well, or in instances where maybe transmission has got some bottlenecks, so that the whole company doesn't look like it is completely collapsing?
Yeah, but how is that going to assist you? If generation collapses, even if distribution want to distribute, what is it going to distribute? Because generation is production, where electricity is produced. So
well, I mean, what it means is that essentially there are independent players who can continue to generate, and Eskom continue to distribute and make money of distribution.
Yeah, you know, let's talk facts. Nah?
Yeah.
You see, we have 6,000 megawatts installed capacity of renewable energy today. But in a very good day of production from renewables, we don't get more than 1,200 megawatts. We don't get that. You see, so even if you have those players, they are unable to assist us today to avoid load shedding. You see, so let's think properly, because you see, the sun does not shine all the time, and also the wind does not blow all the time. When the sun sets, we need more energy, but that energy from the sun is out of our grid, and then now we have to load shed. That's why when you look at the patterns of our load shedding, you'll realize that we start load shedding around 4 and 5 when the sun is setting. So we have a problem. Germany has problems, and then they went back to their coal power stations. See, EDF was partially privatized, but seeing that this thing is not working, the government of France decided to buy the 15% that was sold to private entities back into government. You see, so let's learn from other countries. Let's learn from other countries. We must not try to be smarter than other countries.
Khangela Baloyi, appreciate your time. Let's leave it there tonight. That is the Energy Sector Coordinator for NUM there, Khangela Baloyi. More of the day's top stories when we continue next. Stay with us.